You're good at business?
This one for sure.
Oh my god!
How would the characters react if you got your heart broken? This person is the first one who shows themselves to you and they just offer you all the cuddles. Oh, Deku 6, come get your serotonin! This person is planning the murder of the person who broke your heart. Oh, defensive Bakugo, everybody, here we go! This person buys you all of your favorite comfort foods. Todoroki, Endeavor's credit card man. It comes in clutch. Who's threatening to bust open the kneecaps of the person who broke your heart? Godzilla mode activates! This person is doing everything they can to make you laugh so you forget about your heartbreak. Mirio, he would! And this is the character right here who gave you a broken heart. I'm gonna go cry! How would the characters react if you got your heart broken?
The Simpsons collaborate with the Avengers. The devilish Bart even caught the attention of the villain Thanos. Thanos offered to grant him superpowers. As long as Bart reveals the plot of the Avengers sequel, he could choose any superpower he desired. But why does Bart know the sequel's plot? It all started with the blockbuster movie a few months ago. In the Battle of the Crystal, Thanos used a superphone to eliminate Iron Man and all the heroes. While everyone was mourning in sorrow, the movie suddenly ended. While everyone was speculating about the sequel, Bart suggested making a short video, hoping it might be noticed by his idol. Unexpectedly, House tripped on a rope and got injured. Airshot Man came to visit his fan after hearing the news, but he ran into Bart visiting his friend. Seeing his favorite superhero, Bart immediately lied that he was House. As they chatted, Airshot Man accidentally fell asleep. Curious, Bart took out his notebook. Surprisingly, it contained the sequel to the Battle of the Crystal. Bart spent the whole day watching it by the hospital bed, but the sequel wouldn't be released for another month. That means I'm the only one who knows the ending right now.
Only I know. I'm the most powerful kid in the world.
Excited, Bart ran to the nearby store to brag. When the owner didn't believe him, he immediately showed a photo with Airshot Man from that day, and even a small clip of the movie. Then Bart suddenly announced that the next part required payment. Bart suggested a trade comics for the joy of early spoilers. Although the owner was tempted, he couldn't resist watching this year's most popular movie in theaters. He was determined to watch it on the big screen.
But my curiosity consumes me.
All right, here's the deal. The movie starts on the logo.
Silence! Speak!
Thus began a battle between Bart and the owner. In the end, he gritted his teeth and tore up the comic. Seeing that this move didn't work, Bart suddenly had a brilliant idea.
What would you give me not to find out what happens?
Begone, spoiler boy!
Spoiler boy. I like that.
The Simpsons collaborate with the Avengers. The devilish Bart even caught the attention of the villain Thanos. Thanos offered to grant him superpowers. As long as Bart reveals the plot of the Avengers sequel, he could choose any superpower he desired. But why does Bart know the sequel's plot? It all started with the blockbuster movie a few months ago. In the Battle of the Crystal, Thanos used a superphone to eliminate Iron Man and all the heroes. While everyone was mourning in sorrow, the movie suddenly ended. While everyone was speculating about the sequel, Bart suggested making a short video, hoping it might be noticed by his idol. Unexpectedly, House tripped on a rope and got injured. Airshot Man came to visit his fan after hearing the news, but he ran into Bart visiting his friend. Seeing his favorite superhero, Bart immediately lied that he was House. As they chatted, Airshot Man accidentally fell asleep. Curious, Bart took out his notebook. Surprisingly, it contained the sequel to the Battle of the Crystal. Bart spent the whole day watching it by the hospital bed, but the sequel wouldn't be released for another month. That means I'm the only one who knows the ending right now.
Only I know. I'm the most powerful kid in the world.
Excited, Bart ran to the nearby store to brag. When the owner didn't believe him, he immediately...
Very soon, I will...
Itachi, what lies beyond this slaughter? Will you show me a new future for the clan? One that's different than the one that I showed you?
This is clan's future. And for the villages.
Yes, I see. Sasuke, huh?
A shadow clone. Father is the worst possible enemy for me. This will be a battle of Mangekyo Sharingan.
Over here. There are no traps. Come in. I don't want a death match with my own son.
Father. Mother.
Itachi, just promise me this, that you'll take care of Sasuke.
I will.
Itachi, what lies beyond...
So Brain and Ethan used to want to be rap stars.
What?
This glass of water was actually tied to a person's soul. It turned out that whoever made the water overflow by adding a coin would have to offer up their soul. At this moment Grandpa squeezed water out of the cotton and safely placed the coin into the water. Based on Grandpa's cheating experience, the glass could no longer hold another coin. John stood up nervously. He claimed that the shadow was blocking his view and that he needed to change positions to place the coin. Then, to everyone's surprise, John safely placed the coin into the glass. At this moment Grandpa suspected that John was cheating, but Jotaro said he hadn't noticed anything suspicious. Next, it was Grandpa's turn. He was extremely nervous, but no matter how he examined the glass it was impossible to place another coin. Then suddenly Grandpa's soul was extracted from his body. Even though Grandpa hadn't placed a coin into the glass, he had already lost psychologically. Then the duplicate also turned Grandpa's soul into a poker chip. At this moment Jotaro picked up the glass and found a piece of chocolate residue stuck to the bottom. This was the key to why John could place an extra coin into the glass. It turned out that before the game started, John had secretly placed chocolate at the bottom of the glass, under the pretense of inspecting it. This caused the glass to tilt slightly. As the chocolate melted, the tilted angle would level out. John used the heat from the sunlight to control the timing of the chocolate's melting. At this moment Jotaro could not think of any way to counter it. He had no choice but to participate in the next game, to win back the souls of Grandpa and Jack. This glass of water was actually tied to a person's soul. It turned out that whoever made the water overflow by adding a...
Very soon.
Or take this.
Vanessa!
How long do you think it'll...
Light her up!
You two, I swear.
She's getting tired.
Gotcha.
Uh-oh. She gets tired. Hey, Blockhead! Try that on me! Bit off more than you could chew, huh?
I know it must be weird to just think like, dang, I really got my own house, like this is mine, you know? Yeah, I feel you. I'll get used to it eventually though. But yeah, just make yourself comfortable, dog. Mi casa. I failed Spanish, so just make yourself at home, dog. Thanks, appreciate it. All right. Bro, you can take off your backpack if you want. Bro, huh? Did you say something? Yeah, I was just saying you don't have to keep carrying around your backpack. You could just take it off if you want. Oh, I mean, well, I don't want to just put it on the floor, you know, your brand new house. Don't want to dirty it with my backpack, you know, so I'll just keep it right here for now. You know, you're chilling, bro. Just put it on the hook in the closet. Oh, okay. All right. Well, I mean, I would, but my backpack's kind of heavy, so I don't want to break your closet. So I'll just keep it right here for now. All right? Okay. You can just drop it on the floor. I don't even care for real. Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Well, I mean, I would, but I'm actually kind of cold, so I'm just gonna keep it right here for now, just to warm me up. It's 96 degrees outside, and the AC is set to 73 degrees. Oh, okay. Okay, all right. Well, I mean, I have hyperthermia, so I'm just gonna keep this on right here for now. All right? That's when your body temperature is too high. Oh, okay. Okay. All right. All right. Well, I mean, I have hypothermia. Yeah, so I'm just gonna keep this on right here for now. You know what, bro? You can just leave, dog. Okay. Okay. I'm not gonna stay if I'm not wanted. You know, and I'm gonna leave my backpack too, right? Because that's what you wanted so badly. All right? Just gonna leave. I'm gone. He's a weirdo, bro. What's inside of his bag anyway? That was so important. I know it must be weird to just think like, dang, I really got my own house. Like, this is mine, you know? Yeah, I feel you. I'll get used to it eventually, though. But yeah, just make yourself comfortable, dog. Mi casa. I failed Spanish, so just make yourself at home, dog. Thanks. Appreciate it. All right. Right.
Five facts nobody knows about Avatar. Number 1. The last time the Avatar goes into the Avatar state will be how they are perceived by the rest and seen in the spirit world. Number 2. Avatar Kyoshi is actually a descendant of the air nomads from her mother's side. Number 3, the lion turtle that gives Aang energy bending is the one that gave Wan the first avatar firebending. Number 4, Avatar Roku has a twin brother. And number 5, Avatar Yangchen is who everybody thinks Kyoshi is. She actually makes Kyoshi look very merciful when it comes to getting things done, as Avatar Yangchen is a savage who gives 0 fucks. 5 facts nobody knows about Avatar. Number 1, the last time the Avatar goes into the Avatar state will be how they are perceived by the rest and seen in the spirit world. Number 2, Avatar Kyoshi is actually a descendant of the air nomads from her mother's side. Number 3, the lion turtle that gives Aang energy bending is the one that gave Wan the first avatar firebending. Number 4, Avatar Roku has a twin brother. And number 5, Avatar Yangchen is who everybody thinks Kyoshi is. She actually makes Kyoshi look very merciful when it comes to getting things done, as Avatar Yangchen is a savage who gives 0 fucks. 5 facts nobody knows about Avatar. Number 1, the last time the Avatar goes into the Avatar state will be how they are perceived by the rest and seen in the spirit world. Number 2, Avatar Kyoshi is actually a descendant of the air nomads from her mother's side. Number 3, the lion turtle that gives Aang energy bending is the one that gave Wan the first avatar firebending. Number 4, Avatar Roku has a twin brother. And number 5, Avatar Yangchen is who everybody thinks Kyoshi is. She actually makes Kyoshi look very merciful when it comes to getting things done, as Avatar Yangchen is a savage who gives 0 fucks. 5 facts nobody knows about Avatar. Number 1, the last time the Avatar goes into the Avatar state will be how they are perceived by the rest and seen in the spirit world. Number 2, Avatar Kyoshi is actually a descendant of the air nomads from her mother's side. Number 3, the lion turtle that gives Aang energy bending is the one that gave Wan the first avatar firebending. Number 4, Avatar Roku has a twin brother. And number 5, Avatar Yangchen is who everybody thinks Kyoshi is. She actually makes Kyoshi look very merciful when it comes to getting things done, as Avatar Yangchen is a savage who gives 0 fucks. 5 facts nobody knows about Avatar. Number 1, the last time the Avatar goes into the Avatar state will be how they are perceived by the rest and seen in the spirit world. Number 2, Avatar Kyoshi is actually a descendant of the air nomads from her mother's side. Number 3, the lion turtle that gives Aang energy bending is the one that gave Wan the first avatar firebending. Number 4, Avatar Roku has a twin brother. And number 5, Avatar Yangchen is who everybody thinks Kyoshi is. She actually makes Kyoshi look very merciful when it comes to getting things done, as Avatar Yangchen is a savage who gives 0 fucks. 5 facts nobody knows about Avatar. Number 1, the last time the Avatar goes into the Avatar state will be how they are perceived by the rest and seen in the spirit world. Number 2, Avatar Kyoshi is actually a descendant of the air nomads from her mother's side. Number 3, the lion turtle that gives Aang energy bending is the one that gave Wan the first avatar firebending. Number 4, Avatar Roku has a twin brother. And number 5, Avatar Yangchen is who everybody thinks Kyoshi is. She actually makes Kyoshi look very merciful when it comes to getting things done, as Avatar Yangchen is a savage who gives 0 fucks. 5 facts nobody knows about Avatar. Number 1, the last time the Avatar goes into the Avatar state will be how they are perceived by the rest and seen in the spirit world. Number 2, Avatar Kyoshi is actually a descendant of the air nomads from her mother's side. Number 3, the lion turtle that gives Aang energy bending is the one that gave Wan the first avatar firebending. Number 4, Avatar Roku has a twin brother. And number 5, Avatar Yangchen is who everybody thinks Kyoshi is. She actually makes Kyoshi look very merciful when it comes to getting things done, as Avatar Yangchen is a savage who gives 0 fucks. 5 facts nobody knows about Avatar. Number 1, the last time the Avatar goes into the Avatar state will be how they are perceived by the rest and seen in the spirit world. Number 2, Avatar Kyoshi is actually a descendant of the air nomads from her mother's side. Number 3, the lion turtle that gives Aang energy bending is the one that gave Wan the first avatar firebending. Number 4, Avatar Roku has a twin brother. And number 5, Avatar Yangchen is who everybody thinks Kyoshi is. She actually makes Kyoshi look very merciful when it comes to getting things done, as Avatar Yangchen is a savage who gives 0 fucks. 5 facts nobody knows about Avatar. Number 1, the last time the Avatar goes into the Avatar state will be how they are perceived by the rest and seen in the spirit world. Number 2, Avatar Kyoshi is actually a descendant of the air nomads from her mother's side. Number 3, the lion turtle that gives Aang energy bending is the one that gave Wan the first avatar firebending. Number 4, Avatar Roku has a twin brother. And number 5, Avatar Yangchen is who everybody thinks Kyoshi is. She actually makes Kyoshi look very merciful when it comes to getting things done, as Avatar Yangchen is a savage who gives 0 fucks. 5 facts nobody knows about Avatar. Number 1, the last time the Avatar goes into the Avatar state will be how they are perceived by the rest and seen in the spirit world. Number 2, Avatar Kyoshi is actually a descendant of the air nomads from her mother's side. Number 3, the lion turtle that gives Aang energy bending is the one that gave Wan the first avatar firebending. Number 4, Avatar Roku has a twin brother. And number 5, Avatar Yangchen is who everybody thinks Kyoshi is. She actually makes Kyoshi look very merciful when it comes to getting things done, as Avatar Yangchen is a savage who gives 0 fucks. 5 facts nobody knows about Avatar. Number 1, the last time the Avatar goes into the Avatar state will be how they are perceived by the rest and seen in the spirit world. Number 2, Avatar Kyoshi is actually a descendant of the air nomads from her mother's side. Number 3, the lion turtle that gives Aang energy bending is the one that gave Wan the first avatar firebending. Number 4, Avatar Roku has a twin brother. And number 5, Avatar Yangchen is who everybody thinks Kyoshi is. She actually makes Kyoshi look very merciful when it comes to getting things done, as Avatar Yangchen is a savage who gives 0 fucks. 5 facts nobody knows about Avatar. Number 1, the last time the Avatar goes into the Avatar state will be how they are perceived by the rest and seen in the spirit world. Number 2, Avatar Kyoshi is actually a descendant of the air nomads from her mother's side. Number 3, the lion turtle that gives Aang energy bending is the one that gave Wan the first avatar firebending. Number 4, Avatar Roku has a twin brother. And number 5, Avatar Yangchen is who everybody thinks Kyoshi is. She actually makes Kyoshi look very merciful when it comes to getting things done, as Avatar Yangchen is a savage who gives 0 fucks. 5 facts nobody knows about Avatar. Number 1, the last time the Avatar goes into the Avatar state will be how they are perceived by the rest and seen in the spirit world. Number 2, Avatar Kyoshi is actually a descendant of the air nomads from her mother's side. Number 3, the lion turtle that gives Aang energy bending is the one that gave Wan the first avatar firebending. Number 4, Avatar Roku has a twin brother. And number 5, Avatar Yangchen is who everybody thinks Kyoshi is. She actually makes Kyoshi look very merciful when it comes to getting things done, as Avatar Yangchen is a savage who gives 0 fucks. 5 facts nobody knows about Avatar. Number 1, the last time the Avatar goes into the Avatar state will be how they are perceived by the rest and seen in the spirit world. Number 2, Avatar Kyoshi is actually a descendant of the air nomads from her mother's side. Number 3, the lion turtle that gives Aang energy bending is the one that gave Wan the first avatar firebending. Number 4, Avatar Roku has a twin brother. And number 5, Avatar Yangchen is who everybody thinks Kyoshi is. She actually makes Kyoshi look very merciful when it comes to getting things done, as Avatar Yangchen is a savage who gives 0 fucks. 5 facts nobody knows about Avatar. Number 1, the last time the Avatar goes into the Avatar state will be how they are perceived by the rest and seen in the spirit world. Number 2, Avatar Kyoshi is actually a descendant of the air nomads from her mother's side. Number 3, the lion turtle that gives Aang energy bending is the one that gave Wan the first avatar firebending. Number 4, Avatar Roku has a twin brother. And number 5, Avatar Yangchen is who everybody thinks Kyoshi is. She actually makes Kyoshi look very merciful when it comes to getting things done, as Avatar Yangchen is a savage who gives 0 fucks. 5 facts nobody knows about Avatar. Number 1, the last time the Avatar goes into the Avatar state will be how they are perceived by the rest and seen in the spirit world. Number 2, Avatar Kyoshi is actually a descendant of the air nomads from her mother's side. Number 3, the lion turtle that gives Aang energy bending is the one that gave Wan the first avatar firebending. Number 4, Avatar Roku has a twin brother. And number 5, Avatar Yangchen is who everybody thinks Kyoshi is. She actually makes Kyoshi look very merciful when it comes to getting things done, as Avatar Yangchen is a savage who gives 0 fucks. 5 facts nobody knows about Avatar. Number 1, the last time the Avatar goes into the Avatar state will be how they are perceived by the rest and seen in the spirit world. Number 2, Avatar Kyoshi is actually a descendant of the air nomads from her mother's side. Number 3, the lion turtle that gives Aang energy bending is the one that gave Wan the first avatar firebending. Number 4, Avatar Roku has a twin brother. And number 5, Avatar Yangchen is who everybody thinks Kyoshi is. She actually makes Kyoshi look very merciful when it comes to getting things done, as Avatar Yangchen is a savage who gives 0 fucks. 5 facts nobody knows about Avatar. Number 1, the last time the Avatar goes into the Avatar state will be how they are perceived by the rest and seen in the spirit world. Number 2, Avatar Kyoshi is actually a descendant of the air nomads from her mother's side. Number 3, the lion turtle that gives Aang energy bending is the one that gave Wan the first avatar firebending. Number 4,
turn your musical masterpiece into money. Start selling your digital creations on Shopify.
It's been 2 years. I'm finally blowing the lid on this. I can no longer keep my lips sealed shut on it. You can only keep the genie in the lamp for so long before someone comes along and rubs him out. I posted a video 2 years ago called I Just Lost a Major Partnership. In this video, I was pretty upset and whining and crying like a baby whose mother denied him a titty about the fact that a partnership that I had been working on for a long time and was very excited about had recently just been blown up by them for the silliest reason imaginable. Actual Dream Partnership. It's a company that I literally have grown up with my whole life and have always wanted to work with in a big capacity, and finally we had a big thing in the works, and I never named that company. I tiptoed around it, treated it like Voldemort's name, but today I am going to name that company. It was PlayStation. We had a huge deal in the works with PlayStation to do a lot with them, with Dead Space and Final Fantasy. And then I released the music video Filthy. It's a song from Troy and I of The Gentle Min, and it's a joke song that's just over the top, gross, and yucky, and the corporate suits over there at the Sony Games division were left aghast at this music video, shocked. Like, they reacted to it the same way people used to react to Two Girls, One Cup or One Guy, One Jar. They fucking flew back in their chair, mouth, or hand over their mouth, gasping, and they then canceled all of our partnerships, not only with Dead Space and Final Fantasy, but every future deal was now off the table. And over the course of 2 years, I assumed that they'd come to their senses and realize how fucking stupid that is, all just because of this music video that most people probably don't even remember. And it's not even that bad. Like, it's just, like, overly sexual to a, like, ridiculous degree as a satirical take on, like, it's not even that big of a deal. Like, I'm not in there just spamming slurs or anything. I don't fucking show my whole asshole and flop my meat around, you know, fire hosing the camera or anything. Like, it's not a big deal. Like, it's really not. Like, I will say, some of the lines, some of the bars, fire. Some of the most well-written, thought-provoking pieces of lyricism that have ever come out. Like, putting the pen to the paper for some of these lines, the paper was catching on fire. Especially those first couple of lines. Like, that is the whole reason we learned to read and write in the first place. That was the apotheosis of written words. The shit I spit is grimy, I make her pussy slimy, I know she got a boyfriend but that bitch will never find me, remind me what's on my mind, see, this girl's got me screaming like a hemorrhoid in my hiney. That's Shakespearean. Like, come the fuck on. They're like, Eminem, Kendrick, like, all of, like, the top tier lyricists that you see on those top 10 lists, they could never. They couldn't. They shan't! Yet I did. And got punished in a big way for it by PlayStation.
Building your online business? Go to Wix.com and set up your store on a single integrated platform. Add products. Showcase them dynamically. And seamlessly track your inventory. Accept multiple secure payments, and design your storefront down to the very last detail. Get all the tools you need. Drive more sales with customizable gift cards and flexible product subscriptions. Retain customers with a point-based loyalty program, email automations, and reach millions with sales channel integrations. Complete your setup with a personalized analytics dashboard. Make smart business decisions and shape the next phase of your business. Build, manage, and grow from one place. Go to Wix and launch your online business today.
Collect, customize, and compete with your perfect bag. Hit the accelerator rail to reach intense speed. Are you battle ready?
They're coming straight in. Trust me, I've got nothing.
Game, film, food. Long ago, the 4 channels lived together in harmony, but then everything changed when the YouTube algorithm attacked. Only MatPat, master of all 4 theories, could bring balance to the channels. But when YouTube needed him most, he vanished. But I believe that MatPat can save the world.
Hello Internet, welcome to Film Theory, the show that's here to reveal your secret power, subscription bending. Try it out, click the button below the video to transform it. Now, I don't often call a lot of things perfect. Almost anything can be improved upon in one way or another, but up there with Chrono Trigger, The Lord of the Rings, and the sweet delicious burn of Diet Coke is Avatar: The Last Airbender. If ever there was a perfect animated series, it might just be Avatar. In case you need a bit of a refresher, in the world of Avatar, people live in one of 4 nations, each built around one of the 4 traditional elements. You have the water tribes at the North and South Poles, the vast Earth Kingdom that covers most of the world's landmass, the industrious and aggressive Fire Nation, and the elusive, flighty, air nomad monks. Some people are born with the ability to bend one of these 4 elements, but only one person can master all 4 of them. That one person is known as the Avatar, and is tasked with keeping the world in balance. As the very first Avatar, Wan explains,
"This is my mission, to use Rava's light spirit to guide the world toward peace.
Each avatar is born into a cycle, water to earth to fire to air, so that when the previous avatar dies, a new one is born in the next nation. And over the course of the various seasons, we watch as this exact cycle plays out. Avatar Kyoshi from the Earth Kingdom gives way to Roku from the Fire Nation, who then dies and opens the door to Aang from the Air Nomads, and finally Avatar Korra from the Water Tribe. It's a great setup that allows for stories and characters outside of the original series to be explored, expanding the world even further. I mean, that's basically what happened with the sequel series, The Legend of Korra, and it appears to be Nickelodeon's strategy with the franchise moving forward. There have been multiple novels and comic books dedicated to other avatars and supporting characters. They've even established an entire production studio devoted to more Avatar content. Rumor has it that a bunch of this new stuff is going to focus on different avatars too. Sure, you'll have the OGs Aang and Korra, as well as the fan favorite Kyoshi, but also the next avatar that we haven't even met yet. There's even a live-action Netflix series on the way. Here's hoping it goes better than the last one.
He was bending tiny stones at us from behind a tree. It really hurt.
Anyway, in my excitement for new Avatar content, I decided to go rewatch the series and catch up on a bunch of the spin-off stories that they've released over the years. And you know what, theorists? The more and more I look, the more and more I realize that having an avatar sucks. This world is so much worse because of the avatar cycle. When you really break down what each avatar does during their life and how it compares to what each avatar is supposed to be doing, you'll realize that each and every one of them has largely failed. Enough so that you kind of gotta ask, is it even worth having an avatar at all? Hop aboard your flying bison and pour out some cactus juice, loyal theorists. I'm about to bend your ear over this broken ancient tradition. Let's start by setting our ground rules, shall we? Remember, the whole thing about the avatar is that their main goal is to keep the world in balance, both physically and spiritually. What exactly that means could be up for debate, but the way I see it, an avatar's duties largely break down into 4 main tasks. 1, helping keep international peace between the 4 nations. 2, helping keep internal peace within each of those nations. 3, protecting innocent people and bringing justice to the unjust. And 4, bridging the gap between the human world and the spirit world. So let's just start at the beginning of our list. One of the main parts of an avatar's duty is to help keep international peace between the 4 nations, and admittedly, some of them are good at it. For instance, we see that Aang has helped to set up an international government to help the 4 nations stay at peace with each other. But literally from the opening seconds of the show, we know that at least one avatar had a major oopsie in this field.
The 4 nations lived together in harmony. Then, everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked.
The whole premise of the entire franchise starts with a giant international war, and it all happened because of the failure of the avatars. On one hand, we could blame Aang, who ran away from his duties, which in turn opened up a power vacuum that allowed the 100-year war to begin. But he was also literally 12 years old at the time, so it's kinda hard to fault him for that one. Instead, the true failure falls to Aang's predecessor, Avatar Roku. Roku was childhood friends with Fire Lord Sozin, the Fire Lord who started the war. And what's worse, Roku knew that Sozin wanted to conquer these other nations.
I've been thinking, we should share this prosperity with the rest of the world. In our hands is the most successful empire in history. It's time we expanded it.
So what did Roku do to stop it? Yeah, he basically gave Sozin a slap on the wrist and a stern talking to. By his own admission, Roku's indecisiveness, and let's be honest, favoritism to his friend and home nation, was a huge weakness which ultimately led to tons of unnecessary death.
In my life, I tried to be disciplined and show restraint, but it backfired. If I had been more decisive and acted sooner, I could have stopped Sozin and stopped the war before it started.
Instead, his actions led to Sozin's betrayal, his own death, and a war that lasted generations. His failure led to the complete annihilation of the Air Nation, as well as all the loss of life that comes with War of Conquest. It's not exactly gonna be making Watch Mojo's top 10 list of moments that brought balance to the world. And here's the thing, we don't have to look at Roku or Aang to see the Avatar's failures here. In the prequel novels, we learned that Avatar Zito, the Fire Nation avatar before Roku, was born into a time of great strife for the nation. And instead of working internationally like most other avatars, Zito decided to focus on the domestic politics, becoming a bureaucrat within the Fire Nation to help his people. Though he helped shepherd the Fire Nation back to prosperity, he did this at the expense of all the other nations. This eventually led to an event known as the Platinum Affair shortly after his death, which saw the Fire Nation and Water Tribes secretly backing a challenger to the Earth Kingdom throne. When this was discovered, it led to all 3 nations becoming incredibly isolationist. Because of this, Zito's immediate successor, the Air Nomad Avatar Yang Chen would look back on Zito's legacy as messy. So, as you can already start to see, having one person solely responsible for policing the entire bending world is like an impossible task. Time is going to be the Avatar's most limited resource, and the decisions that they make on how to spend that time inevitably means that they're going to have to sacrifice one major part of their duty. Obviously, for Zito, focusing all of his attention on bringing prosperity to the Fire Nation meant that he let conflict arise within other kingdoms with the Platinum Affair. We see a similar situation arise in the Avatar Kyoshi books. The Avatar before her had a singular focus on dealing with the spiritual duties of the role. This meant that he neglected his responsibilities as a politician. His neglect of the physical world allowed the Earth Kingdom to become destabilized by infighting, and Kyoshi was basically forced to spend her entire life cleaning up that mess. But don't feel too bad for her, she caused even more problems than she solved. Case in point, Qin the Conqueror. Now, this guy was a warlord standing up against a corrupted king. That said, Qin was far from a hero. As Kyoshi herself says,
a horrible tyrant. Qin was expanding his army to all corners of the continent.
This seems like the exact sort of situation where an Avatar should stand up and help make peace, right? A rebellion is threatening to destabilize an entire kingdom, and both sides are led by awful people. The Keeper of Peace and Balance should probably be looking into solving this issue. Even Kyoshi herself says,
Qin the Conqueror threatened to throw the world out of balance.
There's that word, balance. So what did Kyoshi do to stop Qin? Nothing. Literally nothing. Qin was able to conquer almost the entire continent. Kyoshi only decided to step in when he showed up at her doorstep to take over the peninsula that she called home.
I warned him that I would not sit passively while he took our home.
Yeah, sure, Kyoshi. Looks like you were getting right to that. So now that Qin is literally right in front of her, you would think that this is a good opportunity to try and stop his conquest and restore balance to the Earth Kingdom. Nope! Kyoshi uses her power to disconnect the peninsula from the mainland and then proceeds to yeet it out into the middle of the ocean. Seriously, in what's arguably the most impressive display for an Avatar's powers that we see throughout the entire franchise, all Kyoshi does is pull a giant I'ma head out. Qin's conquest was only stopped because he was too stubborn to get out of Kyoshi's way, falling to his death as Kyoshi Island was being formed.
But I assure you, I would have done whatever it took to stop Qin.
Really, Kyoshi? Sure looks like you got some massive revisionist history going on there, because you didn't do a gosh darn thing in the months leading up to him coming to your peninsula. And that philosophy runs deep in the village that Kyoshi leaves behind. Towards the beginning of The Last Airbender, Team Avatar lands on Kyoshi Island, where the guiding wisdom of all the Kyoshi stands is, yeah, it's not my problem.
Kyoshi stayed out of the war so far, and we intend to keep it that way.
Heck, even the Earth Kingdom capital's catchphrase, there's no war in Ba Sing Se, follows the same attitude. Ignore the problem. Deny. Close your eyes, and it just goes away. Admittedly, things seem to go much better under Roku's tenure. And after Aang ends the 100-Year War, things again seem to go smoothly. But under Korra, there's civil conflict after civil conflict. She was Avatar during the Water Tribe Civil War. Under her watch, the Red Lotus assassinates the Earth Queen. And in the aftermath, Korra's inaction due to injury and PTSD lets Kuzira seize control of a great deal of the Earth Kingdom. Not a great track record in a long sequence of Avatars dropping the ball. So now let's move on to our next criteria. Protecting the innocent and bringing justice to the unjust. This one's a bit harder to judge because we don't see a lot of the day-to-day lives of each Avatar. And while yeah, we do see some heroic moments like Aang fighting Yakone and Korra chasing down Bender criminals in the streets of Republic City, there's a rotten core here that starts to peek through the deeper we get into the franchise. Most of the Legend of Korra's plot revolves around the idea of justice and what it takes to defend everyone. Korra's first major adversary, Amon, is the leader of a group called the Equalists, who are all about leveling the playing field between benders and non-benders by taking away the ability to bend. Sound insane? It is, but the movement is shown to resonate with a lot of Republic City's citizens. Life in the world of Avatar can be incredibly hard for non-benders, even in the new supposedly harmonious society that Aang created. If you're a bender, you have easy access to jobs. Power plants use firebenders to operate, trains are powered by earthbenders, and policemen are almost exclusively metal benders. Benders also have a much easier time committing acts of violence, as we're frequently shown groups of violent benders like the Triple Threat Triad, the Red Lotus, heck, even the Republic City Police, who treat the use of force like it's second nature. Non-benders are overlooked, they're ignored, they're frequently threatened. In one particular scene, Republic City's metal-bending police force hurt a group of non-benders like cattle, using force to break up a non-violent protest. These people are targeted because the police force has turned off the power to their homes, and they're peacefully resisting resisting being profiled as members of Amon's uprising just because they aren't benders. A woman in the crowd makes a desperate plea for Korra's help, saying,
"Please help us. You're our avatar too."
And Korra does help. Kinda. Unfortunately for the common people, Korra considers the issue resolved after she outs Amon as a bender and a fraud, effectively derailing a movement that began and grew thanks to a genuine concern from a huge portion of Republic City's non-bending population. So that one doesn't look all that great for Korra. But when you think about it, this is Aang's city. He created the system that Korra inherited. In fact, this goes well beyond just Korra and Aang. The imbalance between benders and non-benders is a failure of every avatar before them who popped up or exploited the same system. Which brings us back to Kyoshi, who honestly might have been the worst of the bunch. See, Kyoshi had herself a rough childhood. She was an orphan working as a servant until it was discovered that she was the Avatar. She later joined a criminal gang that was founded by her parents. And it's not like they suddenly stopped doing crimes after the Avatar joined. Nope, they decided to involve Kyoshi in the crimes. And that's not all. Kyoshi's youthful anger heavily informed her way of thinking. Even after learning that she was the Avatar, her thoughts were more centered on revenge than duty. The Rise of Kyoshi states that, quote, her hunger to learn all four elements had nothing to do with becoming a fully realized Avatar. Fire, air, and water were simply more weapons she could bring to bear on a single target, end quote. And much later in her life, she was so unbothered by taking a life that she didn't see a difference between accidents and intentional killings.
You didn't really kill Shin. Technically, he fell to his own doom because he was too stubborn to get out of the way.
Personally, I don't really see the difference.
As for protecting the innocent, here again we have some problems. In Shadow of Kyoshi, Kyoshi threatens to crush a mother and her adult son to death with a boulder while trying to squeeze a false confession out of them for something they didn't do. But her single worst decision is revealed in the canonical Flash game Escape from the Spirit World. It's here that Kyoshi confesses to Aang her biggest failure. See, one of the Earth Kings during Kyoshi's life was incredibly unpopular. His leadership was seen as ineffective and corrupt, and it eventually led to a peasant uprising against him. During the riots, the king ordered Kyoshi to put the uprising down, and to her credit, she refused. Instead, she encouraged the king to listen to the grievances of the people and find compromise. Seems pretty good so far, right? But here's the thing. Kyoshi admits that she didn't like the people standing up against the kingdom. In fact, throughout the whole story, Kyoshi seems less concerned about the human rights abuses committed by the king and more concerned that the peasants are destroying historical artifacts and upsetting the stability of the monarchy. So, in exchange for the king listening to his people and ending the riots, Kyoshi agrees to train an elite group of earthbenders for him. They would be, quote, silent, precise, and feared by all. It was a force that would eventually be known as the Dai Li. Yep, you remember those creepy secret police from the animated series? The ones with the rock gloves whose loyalty could be bought and sold and who sided with Azula and the Fire Nation during the invasion of Ba Sing Se? They were Kyoshi's idea. She even admits that she regrets not foreseeing the long-term consequences of giving future Earth Kingdom monarchs access to an elite secret police force. But here's the thing, that move didn't make sense even in her time period. This king, the one that was ready to crush his own people, he shouldn't have had access to that secret police force either. Imagine what he would have had him do to the peasants if they were around to begin with. Then again, when you're as powerful as Kyoshi and you treat your powers like a big old hammer, I guess everything looks like a nail. So again, for a lot of the avatars, protecting the innocent and bringing justice to the unjust is just a bust. So that's 3 for 3 where a ton of avatars failed. But what about our fourth criteria here? Bridging the gap and keeping the peace between the human and spirit worlds. This is basically the thing that avatars are supposed to be good at. Surely there isn't a legacy of failure here too? Well, you would think, and then you would be wrong. We hear in the prequel novel dedicated to Avatar Yang Chen that when humans and spirits came into conflict, she would strike bargains that would get the spirits to leave humans alone so long as they took care of the physical world. And of course, humans did not live up to their end of the deal. As a result, spirits wound up committing a lot of violence against humans who broke their oath. This in turn created a huge mess for the next Avatar, Kuruk, to clean up. We discover in the Kyoshi novels that Avatar Kuruk would end up spending most of his short life fighting the dark spirits empowered by Yang Chen's decisions. Finally, let's skip forward to Avatar Korra, who might just have been the Avatar to fail the most at this one. At the end of The Legend of Korra Season 2, Korra is subdued by her uncle Unalaq, who's merged with the dark spirit Vatu. Unalaq is able to rip the Avatar spirit Rava from Korra's body, severing her connection to the past Avatars forever. Thousands of years worth of knowledge snuffed out in an instant. Additionally, during this battle, we witness a world-shifting event called the Harmonic Convergence. Basically, a portal opens between the spirit and human worlds, allowing people and spirits to pass freely between them. At the end of it, Korra decides to keep the portals to the spirit world open, a decision that reverses the stance of the very first Avatar and fatefully combines the human and spirit world. At first glance, it seems brilliant, right? Wouldn't the peaceful coexistence between humans and spirits create a more meaningful bond between them? Well, not necessarily. The unforeseen consequence of these two vastly different worlds colliding is complicated, and really doesn't scream balance. First, the overlapping geographies of the world create huge territory issues. Houses in Republic City are overrun by vines, and entire city blocks are destabilized. Doesn't matter if you're a bender or a non-bender. Finding your living room destroyed and your building about to collapse is definitely on the list of top 5 worst breakfast time surprises. And second, harmonic convergence gives Zahir, one of the most dangerous warriors in the world, the power of airbending, which he promptly uses to start assassinating world leaders and throw the world out of balance. I'm gonna chalk that one up as a big oopsie there, Korra. When you stop and look at the totality of what we know about the Avatars, one thing becomes clear time and time again. This is a vicious cycle. Every single one of these Avatars dealt with difficult issues, but their solutions just wound up creating more problems for the immediate successor. Zito focused too much on his own country. Yang Chen has to deal with and break down isolationist policies. Yang Chen helps make peace between the 4 nations, but at the cost of angering the spirits. Well, Kurik has to spend his life battling dark spirits and winds up neglecting the real-world nations. Kurik dies early in battle with spirits, leaving an unstable political situation. Kyoshi creates a secret police to try and paper over the problems of her country. Roku shows favoritism to his home nation. Aang has to deal with a century-long war and the death of his entire people. All of them ignore non-benders. Korra has to deal with the fallout and the equalists. The Avatar cycle is a cycle of violence. It is a broken system. And honestly, that makes perfect sense. Ask yourself, why does the Avatar have to have a monopoly on balance in this world? The very concept of the Avatar is imbalance. At the end of the day, the Avatars possess the power of a god, literally, a god of light, but they're still only humans. Aang was a 12-year-old kid faced with solving a 100-year-old war. Kyoshi was a poor orphan. Eventually, she's gonna defend her home so it wasn't ripped away again. Roku was friends with Sozin. Of course, he's gonna be slow to action and more lenient in his judgment. One person holding that much power, that much influence, it's a recipe for disaster. I feel like I've heard this somewhere before.
With great power comes great responsibility.
In the end, the really successful Avatars, or maybe the least unsuccessful Avatars, are the ones that don't do it alone. Aang saves the world from Fire Lord Ozai because he trusts his friends to help get the job done. Sokka, Toph, Suki, Zuko, and Katara are all off playing key parts in stopping the Fire Nation, while Aang has his rad Dragon Ball Z fight against Ozai. And those friends are just as essential after the war in helping him restore balance too. His friends help make and keep the international peace all in ways that Aang wouldn't be able to do on his own. It just goes to show that controlling all the elements in this world is meaningless if you don't also control the element of friendship. But hey, if you want more Avatar The Last Airbender content right now, go check out our previous theory talking about the science of water bending. Yeah, believe it or not, but what you see Katara and Aang doing in the series isn't that far out of the realm of possibility. Or, if you want something a little different, I actually teamed up with Nickelodeon themselves and did a video breaking down whether or not a creature as big as Appa could actually fly. It's different, but it was a really fun collab with the people who made this show happen in the first place. As always, don't forget to subscribe. With all that new Avatar content, you know we're gonna have a ton more to cover here on the channel. But until then, my friends, remember, it's all just a theory. A film theory. And cut.
Operations Manager. Before you spend another day lost in schedules and time tracking, use Connect Team, the all-in-one platform that makes team management a whole lot easier. Create team schedules in minutes with Connect Team's auto scheduling, showing you real-time.
Hey guys, today is the last day for our sale at Fantasy Sabers, where with every order you get a free The Chosen One Deluxe Edition. Ends 17th of March, don't miss out. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Let's start today's story on Christophsis, where Anakin's 501st have engaged the Separatist droid army. This is a crucial battle in the Clone Wars, as the Republic forces need to gain victory in order to secure vital trade routes through the Corellian hyperlane. Their opponent is led by Asajj Ventress, the ruthless Sith acolyte under Count Dooku. As Anakin and the 501st push forward, they make a breakthrough and get into the droid position, overrunning their enemy. Simultaneously, Anakin and Captain Rex engage Ventress, and Skywalker's blade clashes with hers. As Anakin presses forward with all of his might, he uses his training from Obi-Wan to gain the upper hand on Ventress, fighting with skill and strength. But Ventress was one step ahead, seeing the advancing clone captain as a weakness, and she lunges at Rex, who shoots bolts from his pistols to defend himself, but it was too late. Ventress first cuts his weapon in half before impaling and killing Captain Rex. Anakin goes into a fit of rage, leaping straight back into battle and screaming with anger and hate. Ventress mocked him, which only caused Skywalker to grow more enraged, but in his anger, he left himself defenseless, and Asajj sliced the hilt of Anakin's saber in half, causing the crystal to spill out. Defenseless and seemingly beaten, Anakin relies on his pain and hate to protect himself, grabbing Ventress with the Force and choking her, and before she could react, she was dead. Anakin picks up his Kyber crystal as the area around him begins to shake, and tears stream across his face. He looks back down at his crystal and sees the color changing, reacting to his internal emotions. Before he can do anything, a loud bang sounds, and the crystal shifts to a glowing crimson color. Anakin doesn't understand what's happened. He now wields a blade of the Sith. Anakin returns to the temple and goes to the council chambers. When Anakin ignites his newly rebuilt lightsaber before the Jedi Council, the crimson glow fills the chamber, stunning everyone into silence. Mace Windu is the first to speak, demanding an immediate explanation. Yoda watches Anakin with narrowed eyes, troubled by the sight of a Jedi wielding a Sith blade. Obi-Wan looked between them, torn between his faith in his former apprentice and the undeniable warning sign before him. Some Jedi, like Saesee Tiin and Even Piell, quickly jump to the conclusion that Anakin has fallen to the dark side, arguing that no Jedi has ever wielded a red blade without embracing the dark side. Others, like Plo Koon and Shaak Ti, attempt to calm the room, insisting that there must be more to the story. Kit Fisto suggests that the Kyber crystal may have reacted to something within Anakin, but whether that reaction is permanent or reversible remains uncertain. Still shaken by the event himself, Anakin insists that he never intended to corrupt his crystal and that he does not serve the dark side, but Windu isn't convinced, warning that Anakin has always been reckless and emotional and that the dark side feeds on those traits. Ki-Adi-Mundi agrees, pointing out that Anakin's bond to the Force has always been unorthodox, and now it seems that bond is leading him down a dangerous path. Obi-Wan tries to defend Anakin, saying that the color of his blade does not define him, that Anakin has proven his loyalty time and time again. But Adi Gallia reminds the Council of past Jedi who also claimed loyalty before their inevitable fall, namely Count Dooku. The debate grows heated, some Jedi arguing that Anakin should undergo trials to prove he has not fallen, others suggesting that he must be removed from the Order altogether. Anakin just stands there, fists clenched, feeling every ounce of their distrust weighing on him. They speak of him as if he is not in the room, as if he is an unstable weapon that could turn against them at any moment. Anger simmers beneath his skin, not because he wants to prove them right, but because no matter what he does, they will never fully trust him. Frustrated, betrayed, and unwilling to listen to any more of their doubts, he turns on his heels and storms out of the chamber, leaving the Jedi to argue over what to do with the Chosen One, who now wields the blade of their greatest enemy. Anakin returns home where he finds Padme and explains what's happened, who becomes very worried. She tries to comfort him, assuring him that the Jedi will come to understand, that they will see that he is still the same man, but he struggles to believe it himself. The doubt, the suspicion in their eyes, the way they spoke about him as if he was already lost. He is too dangerous to remain among them. Obi-Wan and Plo Koon reject this, but the decision ultimately comes down to Yoda, The Grand Master listens before suggesting an alternative, a spiritual exile, where Anakin can confront his emotions away from the pressures of war and expectations of the Order. If he can prove that he is not a servant of evil, a Jedi he will remain. The room falls silent as the Jedi nod in agreement. Anakin is sent to Jedha, where the ancient Jedi temple resides. He is alone here, away from the war, away from the expectations of the Jedi, and left only with his thoughts and the weight of his red blade. He pores over ancient texts, seeking answers, learning about kyber crystals, their connection to the Force, and their bond to the wielder's soul. He meditates for hours, searching within himself, trying to understand what had happened, why his blade had changed, and why the Council feared him. Doubt creeps into his mind as he questions whether he had already fallen to the dark side, and whether the darkness had already taken hold of him. But as he wrestles with his dragon, a guardian of the wills appears before him. Anakin asks who they are, and they explain that they are the living embodiment of the Force. Anakin didn't understand this, but the will explains that only he can see them in the real world due to his connection to the Force as the Chosen One. The will explains that the color of his crystal is a reflection of his own soul, that only by purifying himself, by confronting his pain and his anger, can he truly restore balance within. Anakin listens, trains, and grows stronger. The wills guide him, teaching him deeper aspects of the Force and showing him to let go of his burdens without suppressing them, and how to wield his power without being consumed by it. He practices daily, learning control, understanding patience, and letting go of the weight that had been crushing down on him for so long. He realizes that his entire life he has carried the fear of loss, the anger at the injustices he has seen, and the pain of never truly belonging. These emotions had always fueled him, pushed him forward, but they had also chained him. Now for the first time, he learns how to use his power without relying on his anger. He learns to harness the Force with a clarity he had never done before, to not act out of fear or hatred, but out of true purpose. He faces his past and accepts it, but refuses to let it define him. His training intensifies as the weeks turn into months, and as time passes, Anakin transforms. The raw, untamed power within him is no longer a raging storm, but a steady, controlled force. After months of being away in exile, Anakin feels a lot better, and although he has not mastered his emotions yet, he is a lot better than when he arrived. Seeing the red blade didn't hurt him anymore. He embraced it, and he trusted that it was a part of him, but surely didn't define who he was as a person. He is no longer trapped by the expectations of the Jedi, or the whispers of the dark side. He is Anakin Skywalker, stronger than ever before. Across the galaxy, the war grows more brutal, entire systems falling into chaos as the Republic and Separatists push each other to the breaking point. After a meeting with the Council to discuss his mentality, the Council granted him approval to return to the battlefield, and that's exactly what Anakin does, his red blade igniting fear and uncertainty even amongst his own troops. The clones still fight behind him, but their loyalty is mixed with unease, the color of his weapon a constant reminder of the dark path many fear he is walking. Even Obi-Wan struggles to hide his concern, watching his apprentice fight with the same skill and intensity, but sensing something different in him. The Jedi Council remains divided, wary of Anakin's return, but unable to deny his effectiveness as a warrior. Meanwhile, Darth Sidious sets his final trap into motion, arranging for the so-called kidnapping of Supreme Chancellor Palpatine, ensuring he is taken to the volcanic world of Mustafar, hidden behind an impenetrable fortress guarded by the Separatist deadliest warriors. The Senate erupts in panic. The Republic is shaken to its core, demanding immediate action. The Jedi know it is deception, a ploy designed to manipulate them, but they have no choice. Palpatine must be recovered before the Republic collapses into disarray. Anakin and Obi-Wan are sent to Mustafar alongside Yoda, who will lead the aerial assault. As they set course for Mustafar, neither of them realize they are walking into Sidious's carefully laid trap, one that will push Anakin to his breaking point and determine whether he will rise above his darkness. or finally succumb to it. The battle erupts into one of the most savage conflicts of the Clone Wars, a chaotic storm of fire and destruction as Republic and Separatist forces clash across the volcanic wasteland of Mustafar. Clones and droids tear into each other with relentless fury, blaster bolts lighting up the smoke-filled air as warships rain fire from above.
Do you need a free, easy way to capture your gameplay? Introducing Outplayed. Record anything on your PC. Highlight reels, let's play sessions, mod showcases, game reviews, speed runs, and anything else on your monitor. Capture your game highlights automatically, or with a custom hotkey. Cut, clip, and edit your gameplay to perfection with Outplayed's intuitive editing tools. Share your gameplay footage with a single click. Outplayed is lightweight and easy to use. Outplayed. Game recording made easy. Download.
The heat of the planet only adds to the suffocating intensity of the battle, turning the battlefield into a nightmare of death and ruin. Amid the carnage, Anakin and Obi-Wan carve their way through waves of enemies, cutting down battle droids with precision and skill as they push deeper into the Separatist base. Dooku waits for them, with Palpatine chained to a seat, just like in Revenge of the Sith. The Sith Lord ignites his Crimson Blade, welcoming the duel that he knows is inevitable. The three warriors engage in a fast, brutal contest of skill and power, their sabers clashing in a deadly dance, sending sparks flying with each violent impact. Dooku expertly counters their relentless attacks, his mastery of the blade keeping both Jedi at bay. The Master Swordsman put Anakin on the defensive, while forcing Obi-Wan to fight with offense, refusing their innate styles. But as he gets the upper hand, Obi-Wan is knocked unconscious. Anakin barely has enough time to react before Dooku turns on him, eyes gleaming with amusement and something colder, certainty. He taunts Anakin, his words like venom in the young Jedi's ears, mocking him, telling him that he's already fallen, that the proof is in his own hands. In the red glow of his blade, Anakin hesitates for only a second, but in that moment, anger surges within him like a storm, drowning out everything else. Dooku parries Anakin's strikes, but the raw power behind Anakin's attacks is unstoppable. Strike after strike, Anakin forces the count back, his movements no longer guided by discipline, but by aggression, by fury, by something dangerously close to hate. But then the moment comes, Dooku falters and drops to his knees, defenseless before the Jedi Knight, as he slices his head from his body. Anakin puffs as he looks down at the body. As Anakin stands over Dooku's lifeless body, the red glow of his saber cascades against his face. He stares at his reflection in the hilt of his blade. He didn't want to become Dooku. The anger he feels is something that he believed he had conquered, but now it consumes him. And for the briefest of seconds, Anakin doubts everything. It is then that Palpatine laughs and smiles at Anakin. He congratulates him, a proud father seeing his creation finally embrace its true purpose. The Sith Lord's voice is full of approval, a sickening assurance that Anakin finally discovered his true potential, power unrestrained and limitless. In Palpatine's mind, Anakin is ready to fully commit to the dark side, and all of the signs he has seen would show that. Palpatine reveals himself as Darth Sidious and offers Anakin the path to complete mastery. The dark side now clearly laid out before him, claiming that this is his destiny, that nothing in his past and his life has been made by chance. Yet, as Sidious's words hang in the air, Anakin's mind drifts back to Jedha, the place where he learned that he had a choice that only he could make. He remembers the wills, the wisdom they shared, the teachings of balance, of selflessness, and of sacrifice. With each memory, Anakin remembers the lessons he learned, and that the color of his lightsaber didn't need to define him. For the first time in his life, Anakin Skywalker sees through the darkness, and in that moment, he chooses a different path, one where he can be the protector he was meant to be, not a conqueror and villain. Palpatine scoffs and ignites his saber hidden in his sleeve.
If you're a web designer, here are 4 Wix Studio features you gotta know. So first on the list, Section Grid. I'm talking about a revolutionary tool that lets you create your own intricate layouts, but still keeps it intuitive at every step. So you can split cells, create gaps between them, drag to resize, and swap them around. Alright, this next feature has saved me hours of work. Responsive AI.
If Anakin won't turn, he will die. Anakin clashes with Sidious in a brutal, high-stakes duel, their sabers colliding in bursts of red and crackling energy. The Sith Lord fights with overwhelming speed and precision, his mastery of the dark side pushing Anakin to his limits. Every strike forces Anakin back. Sidious's lightning tears through the air, searing pain into Anakin's body as he struggles to hold his ground. He fights with everything he has, drawing on his training, his instincts, and all he learned on Jedha. But Sidious is too powerful. Sidious hurls Anakin across the chamber, slamming him against the ground as pain courses through every nerve. The Sith Lord looms over him, ready to end it. But before he can strike, the chamber erupts with the arrival of Republic reinforcements from space, led by Master Yoda. The Jedi Grand Master leaps into battle, his green blade a blur as he intercepts Sidious, forcing him back. Clones storm the battlefield, pushing back the Separatists and turning the tide of the fight. Anakin rises, determination burning in his eyes. Together, he and Yoda press the attack, their combined strength forcing Sidious onto the defensive, and they are able to kill him. After the defeat of Sidious and the final remnants of the war are swept away, Anakin finds a moment of quiet amid the chaos. He steps away from the others, retreating to a quiet corner of the ruined temple, his fingers curling around the red kyber crystal that had once powered his blade in darkness. He sinks into meditation, allowing himself to face everything he has buried, every wound, every scar, every failure, every moment he let his pain dictate his path. He simply acknowledges them, accepting them as part of who he is, not as burdens but as lessons. And as he does this, something shifts. The crystal in his palm pulses, faint at first but then stronger, and when he opens his eyes, the deep crimson hue has begun to fade, softening into something lighter, something pure. The corruption that had once bled into it is gone, washed away in the clarity of his acceptance. The war is over, but the Jedi are forever changed. Shaken by the cost of their failures, the Council's rigid traditions that had nearly cost them not just Anakin but the future itself, began the slow work of reform. No longer does the Order demand emotional detachment. No longer does it ignore the complexity of the Force and the people who wield it. They listen, they adapt, and they grow, and Anakin, now a Jedi Master, finds himself on a new path. Not one dictated by the expectations of others, but by his own understanding of what it means to be a Jedi. He builds a new saber, and its blade is now white, a symbol of his journey, not light, not dark, but balance. And in this new era, he is not alone. Padme stands by his side, no longer a secret after she gave birth to their children, but the Council does not exile him. They do not demand that he walks away from love, but instead seek to learn from him, to understand why love does not have to lead to the dark. Together, Anakin and Padme carve out a life free from the shadows of war, a life where love and duty are not at odds, but are intertwined. Their home on Naboo becomes a place of peace, of laughter, and of quiet moments, where Anakin can simply be, where he can chase his children through sunlit fields, teach Luke how to hold a saber for the first time, and watch Leia.
Use AI to create your logo with Design.com. Start by visiting the Design.com website. Just enter your business name and you'll get